This is a short replay of the SCCA Trans Am Championship, race 7 of the weekend of 1997.
35, French explorer Jacques Cartier sailed up the St. Lawrence River, thinking that the island was at the confluence of 3 rivers, named the spot Trois-Rivières. Even though there are only 2 rivers here, the St. Lawrence and its tributary,
the San Maurice, the name stuck. 462 years later, a trendsetter of a different sort finds himself in this French-Canadian hamlet today. Tommy Kendall coming to challenge the record for the most consecutive Trans Am victories in a single season, held by one of the greatest American drivers ever, Mark Donohue. The record now stands at 8 in a row, and the driver of the number 11 Ford Mustang has 7 consecutive victories coming into today's SCCA Trans Am Championship. Kendall may not be on the verge of opening Canada to European exploration, but he's nearly ready to rock the entire motorsports world. 2 more wins and TK will have done something no one would have thought possible. 1 more win and he'll stand shoulder to shoulder with a man many consider one of the all-time great drivers. The victory flourish of a kid from California who thought it would be nice to win a race or 2 and maybe someday try for a championship. Not bad at all. Welcome to Trois-Rivières in Quebec, Canada, a land of history and myth. Grand in the spring, lonely in the wintertime, and for 1 week each year, the host of one of Canada's great sporting events. Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Benjamin. Welcome to our coverage of the SCCA's Trans Am Championship, and we could be here to watch some history. If Tommy Kendall can indeed tie Mark Donohue's single-season consecutive victory record, well, that would write a great new chapter to the history of this tradition-laden event. But how is Kendall approaching the race this weekend? Can he do it? Is he concerned about it? Let's find out from my colleague, our expert commentator, David Hobbs.
Well, Rick, there's no doubt about it that Tommy Kendall has already had an extraordinary season, but history could be made today if Tommy Kendall equals that 29-year-old record of Mark Donohue. Now, Tommy, this is a big thing. I mean, can you get those 8 consecutive wins and go on to even 9?
Well, fortunately, we don't have to get 8 consecutive. We only need 1, and that's what we're focusing on. Obviously, with Ron coming back to the series, our objective is the same, but it's going to be more difficult.
How much more difficult?
We'll see. He was tough to beat last year. You know, we won 4, he won 4, so we'll see how it turns out.
Well, as Tommy Kendall says, Tom Gloy Racing, of course, who come perennial second to Tommy Kendall this year, brought in the big guns. 2-time winner, Canadian driver, the most winning driver in Trans Am, never to win the championship. Can you stem this flow of wins of Tommy Kendall?
Well, we're certainly going to try, but our focus is not on that, but just to try and win the race. I got to thank Tom for giving me the chance here to come back to Trois-Rivières one more time. Maybe this will be my last time, so that's the goal here. I love racing here in Quebec, and we're going to try and put on a show. That's the bottom line.
Well, there you hear it from Ron Fellows. You're going to try and put on the show and try and stem that tide of Tommy Kendall's win. Now let's go and join the 3rd member of our team, John Bisignano.
There are 400 years of tradition and history around this beautiful part of Canada, and Tommy Kendall is trying to add his little bit of history this weekend. But he's got a tough circuit to deal with. This is turn 3, where it's known as the door. No passing here whatsoever. It's one of the signature features to this fabled track. Now, there will be some passing down in turn 2 for the very brave. Certainly some passing in turn 6, and sometimes some passing in turn 9. Often a lot of passing in turn 1. The bottom line is if you fall behind here, you've got a lot of work cut out for you. Rick?
Well, they've been running here since 1976 when George Falmer won. You can bet Kendall and the rest of the 22-car field have studied every move made since then. As badly as Kendall wants this victory, there's not a driver out here willing to give it to him uncontested. Back to Trois-Rivières after this. Welcome back to Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada. This is the 8th round of the SCCA Trans Am Championship for 1997. Just a few moments away from the green flag today through this historic town. Before we drop the green, let's check in with David Hobbs and find out what he's uncovered in this week's SCCA Trans Am Paddock Report.
Tom Gloy Racing, owner of the car, Dorsey Schroeder, second a number of times this year, and Tom Gloy, of course, himself won this race in 1984. You've got 4 cars here, Tom. Are you going to be able to stop this roll of the number 11 and Tom Kendall?
Well, I always figured if you had more entries or more bullets in the chamber, it was a better way to attempt to end this roll that Tommy Kendall's on. So we brought Ron Fellows in this weekend as an additional car, and we're hopeful that we'll come to victory circle.
The charge to the front by the number 11 car of Tommy Kendall has not been greeted with universal approval by all of his competitors. In fact, some of them have talked about technical irregularities. We find the car in the tech line here at Trois-Rivières with the team manager Dan Binks. What about these talks, Dan?
Well, I mean, we've been to 7 races. We've been to tech twice a weekend, and they haven't found anything wrong. After Detroit, they came to our shop unannounced. They called us from the driveway and said they were coming in. We showed them our whole car, took it all apart. Anything they wanted to see, we told them they could see. So they didn't find anything wrong, you know. So I think it's unfortunate that, you know, other competitors are saying that. You know, basically with Jack Roush power and our own chassis, I mean, there isn't any excuses. We do a good job, and we're trying to win all the races.
Well, we've heard from Dan Binks that the number 11 car has been checked, rechecked, and then checked again. But the man who keeps coming second to that car, the 1989 Trans Am champion, Dorsey Schroeder, is not exactly 100% convinced, are you, Dorsey?
Well, no, you can't be convinced, David. I'll tell you what, I don't think those guys are cheating. They're a really good team, and they've done their homework. They have had a clear advantage on the field, on everyone, not just me. In racing, it's a problem-solving situation. The problem I haven't solved is how to beat Tommy Kendall yet. It's my job to keep the pressure on him, not only on the racetrack, but off the racetrack. He's amassing quite a record for himself, and he's tearing down what was a real good record for me, and it's got to be put to a stop.
Well, there's a man who's going to keep the pressure, and that's today's SCCA Trans Am Paddock Report.
Dorsey Schroeder among the drivers, hoping to put plenty of pressure on Tommy Kendall today. Here's how they'll line up for the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. Dorsey will start on the pole today in car number 12 alongside Kendall's Ford teammate, John Gooding.
On row 2 will be Tommy Kendall, who picked that third ball, and Mike Borkowski, one of his better qualifiers this year.
Row 3 today, first of the Chevrolet pilots, Paul Gentilozzi in the Riso Copiers machine. And back in the series, you met him, Canadian star Ron Fellows in the Tom Gloy Mustang.
And in row 4, we've got Brian Simo, who uncharacteristically a bit slow this weekend, and Bill Saunders doing a great job in the Corvette, the Highwaymaster Camaro.
5th row, rookie Michael Lewis from San Diego in the Ford, the 55, and Greg Pickett, the series veteran, about to make his 150th start in the Chevrolet, car number 6.
Row 6 is R.J. Valentine, also in a Chevy Camaro, and John Miller, last year's Rookie of the Year, also in a Chevy Camaro.
7th row, Max Lagarde from Great Barrington, Illinois, and car number 83, another Camaro. And Leighton Reese from Minnesota. Eden Prairie is his hometown. That's a Pontiac Grand Prix.
Row 8 is Randy Ruhlman, of course, in the Preform Line Products Dodge, and Bob Roman from Monroe Falls, Ohio, again in the Chevy Camaro.
9th row, Bruce Barkaloo, the software magnate from Columbia, Missouri, the Super Clubs Chevrolet, the 34, and Ray Genick from Waterford, Michigan, in car number 72, the Babel Fasteners Chevrolet Camaro.
Row 10 is Ed Hinchcliffe, who was racing in Trans Am when I was back in '83, and Eric Boisvert from Montreal, Quebec, in another Chevy Camaro.
And our final row, row 11, Ted Sullivan from Hampton Corners, Connecticut. That's a black Camaro, car number 21, the Hampton Corners Chevrolet. And Jim Briotti from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in car number 42, the Utility Industrial Chevrolet. So there's our starting lineup today. 55 laps around this 1.5 mile street circuit at Three Rivers. David Hobbs, we're looking for a terrific Trans Am run. Kendall going to tie Mark Donohue's record today if he can win his 8th straight. We'll come back, put him under green for you in just a moment. Want to get the back to Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada, the Grand Prix through the streets here. It's been a full racing weekend. SCCA World Challenges run here, the Indy Lights and the Toyota Atlantics, and feature event of the weekend, the SCCA Trans Am Stars. Got a couple of in-car views for you to see this track today. First of all, Tommy Kendall will be carrying our cameras for us. We'll be looking out the front of the all-sport Ford. Kendall lines up 3rd, and this is a very difficult track to pass on. David Hobbs will talk more about that in a couple of moments. So we've got a couple of views for you from the Kendall machine today. Here's how the point standings are. Just past halfway in the season, Kendall with a 74-point advantage. He's not yet clinched the title. Dorsey Schroeder still has a mathematical chance at the championship. Greg Pickett rounds out the first 5. Mike Borkowski is 6th in points in his rookie year. Bill Saunders rounding out the first 10. Paul Gentilozzi 7th, and this is a disappointing season for him in terms of the point chase. Tommy Kendall has this in front of him today. If he can win his 8th consecutive event this weekend, his chances of winning the championship go up quite a bit. Here's how things stand now. He needs to finish 4th or better in the last half dozen races of the season. Ford can wrap up the manufacturer's title today if they should sweep, but there are several Chevrolet drivers in the field. Gentilozzi, the Pickett team, Greg Pickett, Bill Saunders, and the rest who hope to derail that and stop that. Now, the driver who is back in the series this weekend from the suburbs of Toronto, Ron Fellows, who has won here the last 2 seasons in Buzz McCall's Chevrolet. His first Trans Am start of the year, starting 6th. David, how do you like Fellows' chances today?
Well, I thought he'd go a little bit better in qualifying. Since then, they changed the car dramatically yesterday afternoon. It rained in the final practice, so he wasn't able to test his new settings, but his car is set more like Dorsey Schroeder's now. But of course, Ron Fellows, always a strong runner here at Trois-Rivières. Last 2 races here, he's won.
We'll see how Fellows stacks up when we put him under green in a moment. John Bizignano on pit road.
Well, I'll tell you something. There's all kinds of racing going on this weekend, and every driver I've talked to has said brakes, 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 brakes. That's the #1 problem. It's the #1 thing you have to manage, except when it comes to Tommy Kendall. They have some new special brake pads in from Germany called Paged, and no one else has this particular mix of brake pad here up and down the pit road. Tommy Kendall says he can stomp as long and as hard as he wants all the way around this circuit.
Another advantage, perhaps, for the Roush Racing Ford Mustang. I don't know, David. I don't think he needs much more in the way of an advantage.
No, he certainly doesn't. But John is absolutely right. Brake management here is very important. There's some very high speeds up that back straight there into turn 6. And you use the brakes here a tremendous amount, about 6 times around this track, very hard. And, of course, it's all jammed into 1.5 miles, 10 turns. So the brakes never get a chance to cool off at all. And so it is tough on brakes. And, of course, it's tough on tyres, especially the rear, especially the right rear, because it's predominantly left-hand circuit. So that really takes some stick when you're trying to put some power down out of some of these slower corners.
Now the field is coming through the pit road area. This is where the cars come into the pits. They'll come up a short straightaway here. This is turn 9, 10, and 11. This is 10, and then the right-hander here, this is called turn 11, the little left-hand kink. This is the main straightaway. Looking for a start. Glad to have you with us today for the SCCA Trans Am Championship. Dorsey Schroeder and John Gooding, the lead row. Kendall back there in row 2 with Mike Borkowski. Mike Jennings drops the green, and here we go, and it's Dorsey out in front, down into turn 1.
Paul Gentilozzi ran to the back of Tommy Kendall there. You can see the smoke coming off Gentilozzi's front tires as he ran into the back of the car. I was a bit surprised there that John Gooding jumped in front of his teammate at that start. Dorsey Schroeder made a good start. John Gooding 2nd, Kendall 3rd, and up to 4th now is Paul Gentilozzi. So good start from Paul Gentilozzi.
Dick Valentine there in the Pennzoil Chevrolet, one of the Greg Pickett team cars. This is up the back straightaway for the first time here at Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada. Schroeder your leader. Gooding, Kendall is 3rd, Gentilozzi. Then Borkowski is 4th. Fellows is 5th now, and 6th is Brian Simo.
So a good start there by Ron Fellows in that car, moving up through the field at least 1 point. Again, you get an idea of how hard they are on the brakes as they come into this sharp turn 8.
No change among the top 3. There's Kendall sitting 3rd. Now at Cleveland, we weren't with you from Cleveland, but everyone I've talked to who was at that race said Kendall really had to work for the win at Cleveland. Really the first time all season he's had to extend himself in the eyes of many of his competitors.
Boy, it was a terrific race. Dorsey Schroeder was all over him like a cheap suit, and it was just fantastic. The whole race was won by just a few split seconds, so it was a great race there. So Dorsey Schroeder, having got the lead here, got John Gooding between himself and Tommy Kendall. So Tommy Kendall will be anxious to get around John Gooding, there's no doubt about it, because he doesn't want to see Dorsey Schroeder pull out too much of a lead here.
Cars coming through turn 3. That's what they call the gate here. A lot of history around this wonderful street course in Quebec, Canada. And that is one of the most historic sites. Now, here's Kendall to the inside, looking for 2nd on his teammate Gooding, and he makes the pass. So Kendall nips Gooding for 2nd spot now. Coming up another short straightaway toward turn 9.
Paul Gentilozzi there in the red car there, red number 5, red and black, doing a great job. Up to 4th spot now, running really right behind Gooding. So this should be a good battle here for Ford and Chevrolet. Paul Gentilozzi's year has not been best luck-wise.
On board with Ron Fellows in the Tom Gloy Deuce. Fellows is back in 6th, trying to get around his teammate Brian Simo, who has already moved up a couple of spots. Your leaders go by. Leighton Reese, the independent, the Phillips 66 Pontiac with a cut tire.
That rim, he hasn't cut the tire. He's belted the rim on the walls. What he's done. That often cuts the tire, you know.
Out of turn 1, Gentilozzi in trouble.
No.
He spun right away. Gentilozzi off course, gets it refired, so a tough break for Paul Gentilozzi.
His car was looking very twitchy when he came through the gate and started to go up the hill. Just on the 2nd lap, I noticed he had a lot of trouble putting the power down. It was looking very twitchy, so maybe it just got away from him. Look at this now. Kendall right up to Dorsey Schroeder. Dorsey Schroeder takes the inside line to protect it, but Kendall is right there. But again, Dorsey Schroeder protecting his lines. They come down to this. There's a right-hand sweep. Then the next corner of note is a sharp left-hander, so he's protecting that left side.
Dorsey Schroeder, your leader in the race, bestest 12. Kendall in the black all-sport car to the inside of turn 9. Kendall gets by. Kendall makes the pass and takes the lead on Schroeder on lap 3.
Boy, oh boy, that was a bit of a bold. Yeah, Dorsey Schroeder clip the back of the car of Kendall. Look at this, right behind as they go across the start-finish line down to turn 1. On the outside, Dorsey Schroeder, is he going to make it the difficult pass? And look at John Gooding nosing right in there. You could say it's fairly close racing.
You would say so, indeed.
Look at that.
Schrader is second. Kendall now your leader, giving us this onboard look.
You can see the fillings in his teeth, practically.
The whites of his eyes, definitely at this point. Kendall out in front in car number 11. Brian Simo on the move meantime. Look at the Valvoline Mustang. He is up to 4th. He started back in 7th spot. So Brian Simo, whatever the problems they had in qualifying, they are much stronger here now that we're under green.
So he is going to put some pressure now on John Gooding in the second of the Roush cars, and right behind Simo, of course, is Fellows, who started off at 6th. He's up to 5th. Mike Borkowski, of course, has dropped back a little bit. Mike Borkowski qualified nicely in 4th, and he is now back to 6th.
There you see Gooding in the Mountain Dew car. He is 3rd. Simo in the Valvoline machine is 4th. Let's take a look one more time. This is how Kendall grabbed the lead a moment ago.
He came out of the 8 very quick there, turn 8, got alongside going to turn 9. I'm amazed that Dorsey gave him the room there to put his nose in. And then as they come off the corner, Dorsey is right by him.
Now we'll show you how Paul Gentilozzi got crossed up. Look at that, backs into the tire barrier. That was a lap ago. So Gentilozzi, who was up in the top 4 early, has fallen off the pace. Right now he's back in 7th, but is running.
I wonder if he damaged the rear of the car there. The tire walls just do such a great job, there's no doubt about it. But backing in there didn't seem to do anything, but even so, you're just wondering about it.
Leaders up the back straightaway. That's Borkowski in the Textron Ford with Bobby Rahal helping that team get on the racetrack. You saw Borkowski whistle by. Kendall, your leader. Second spot to Schrader. Gooding is 3rd in the Mountain Dew machine. The Valvoline car, Simo is 4th. Fellows, who started 6th, up to 5th now in the Deuce. That's one of the Gloy machines. Painted much like Borkowski's car, green and white.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing for some of us like me. You can see what a fantastic day for racing it is. The sky is just as blue and as clear. The temperature dropped, the humidity went away. Great day for these guys to race these cars, because these Trans Am cars are hot inside. Like any closed car with exhaust pipe running on the floor, they get mighty hot. So they've got a bit of fresh air today and a gorgeous day to race. Their practice got a bit messed up yesterday because it rained right on their practice, but certainly no sign of rain today, so this should be a great day for racing.
This is turn 2, a left-hander. They'll drop down the hill to that gate, which is many, many, many years old here at Trois-Rivières. The cars go through there. They have to go single file pretty much. It's very tough to fit 2 cars wide.
Wow, you just couldn't get to and make the corner. If you're on the inside, you'd never make it. That's the Port Duplessis, it's called, and this is the straight. As you can see, it's just a suburban street in normal everyday life. Tree line, lampposts, little houses. It's a great racetrack. And here comes Paul Gentilozzi, who's coming up from that 7th spot, making ground after that disastrous spin, because he was looking pretty strong there.
Lost 6 seconds. He is 10 seconds back of the leaders. Gentilozzi, the first Chevrolet of the show, in 7th. Let's go to pit road. John Visignano.
Mark Strickland, what's happened to your man out there, Paul Gentilozzi? Seems to be working his way backwards.
Well, no, actually he slipped in some oil dry under braking. Lost back quite a few positions back to 8th place, but he stayed off. He kept it off the walls, and 55 laps is a long race, so there's plenty of time to get back up to the front.
No flat spotted tires, no damage?
No, I don't think so. We're fine.
They say they're fine, guys.
Well, he kept it off the wall. There's a thing called a tire barrier that kept it off the wall.
But as you said, David, it doesn't look as though he damaged it.
No, so they're pretty strong, these Trans Am cars. Hasn't messed up his spoiler, which of course is good. He needs downforce here. You need a bit of downforce around this track.
Gentilozzi all alone on the racetrack now. Mike Lewis is behind him in 8th spot. Then Bill Saunders and Greg Pickett. The rest of the top 10, R.J. Valentine, who drives the 3rd Greg Pickett machine, is 11th at the moment. So Gentilozzi running alone in 7th. He's about 6 seconds behind Borkowski. Your leader is Tommy Kendall, gunning for 8 in a row here today, but Dorsey Schroeder right behind him. Then comes Gooding, Brian Simo, and Ron Fellows, the rest of the first 5, as they whistle by pit road. Coming lap 7 this time. 55 here this afternoon.
So Dorsey Schroeder losing ground just slightly to Tommy Kendall there. Gooding, I think, is probably holding up Brian Simo in that car. Brian Simo seems to be going incredibly quick, and right behind Simo, of course, is Ron Fellows on the board we are with now. If Ron's going to make a move, he needs to get on. But of course, he's not very familiar with the car. It's a one-off deal. Not an ideal situation to try and win the race. There's no doubt about it. It's a bit of a tough call to try and beat Tommy Kendall with a one-off race.
Remember that Fellows is the 2-time defending champion here. Eric Weisrod on pit road. Kendall is your leader. We'll be right back. We're at Three Rivers, Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada for the SCCA Trans Am Championship. Rick Benjamin, David Hobbs, John Visignano today on pit road for us. Your two lead cars, Tommy Kendall and Dorsey Schroeder. Gooding there in the 16. He's third. Brian Simo, David, you were saying he was being held up a little, trying to get by on that main straightaway, but it's so short he can't get a jump off the last corner.
No, it's a very difficult racetrack to overtake on when you're as evenly matched as these two guys are. And I think John Gooding is doing a tremendous job, no doubt about it. But I think that if Simo could get around him, he'd get away. And of course, Ron Fellows is caught between a rock and a hard place, because right in front of him is Brian Simo, who's his teammate. Obviously didn't want to have him off the road, as he's doing it for a one-off deal. Brian Simo, of course, in the championship point. Here goes Simo down the inside of Gooding into the turn 9. Whoa! Gooding didn't want to let him go, but Gooding now lost a lot of momentum there. That might give... I thought that would give Ron a chance to get around Gooding, but it didn't look like it.
His car doesn't look as though it's quite as quick off the corner, which could be the problem there. Let's head back to pit road. Visignano.
Well, Greg Pickett is making his 149th start here, and unfortunately he's come to a stop in the pit lane. They have the top off the motor. They're trying to check everything in there. It's very hot. They're using the asbestos gloves, but I can see that they're pulling both on wires, trying to find something electrical, but they're working with the air ducts also. I think we may have some very hot temperatures. We'll get back to you with the details.
Gary Young, the crew chief for Greg Pickett, leaning in there to try to figure out what is wrong with the Autolink Chevrolet. Tough break indeed for the driver who started 10th and is in the top 10 in the season championship. This is the battle for third. Wow. 72 moves out of the way. Here's Fellows to the inside, heading to the gate, couldn't get by.
Getting into traffic now too, which is always plays a part in these Trans Am races. Not a very, very big field this afternoon, 22 cars, but it's also only a mile-and-a-half track, so that is packing them in pretty much. Obviously, Ron Fellows won't feel quite the same about John Gooding as he felt about Brian Simo, who's his teammate, so he might get a bit rough and ready if he has to.
This is the battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Brian Simo in the 22 is third. John Gooding is fourth in the 16. Fellows in the deuce is fifth as they come to turn 9. Heading toward pit road here. There's Dorsey Schroeder whistling by. He's running in second spot, but he's a second and a half back now. We'll show you what happened last time around. This is up the backstretch. Simo to the inside.
This was a great pass. John Gooding, I'm surprised, gave him a lot more room. He didn't move over to block him on the inside there. Tried to block there when it was just a little bit too late. And I thought at that point there he'd probably lost enough momentum that it would let Ron Fellows through, but it was not to be. So still Ron Fellows chasing Gooding. Now, I'll tell you what, Gooding there starting to slide that car. Once you start sliding these cars and fishtailing them around these corners, the rear tires heat up big time, especially the left rear. And once they start to heat and give up, then you're in big trouble, because the whole thing just spirals downhill from that point on.
Heading to the backstretch, heading now off turn 5 and up to 6. We'll see if Fellows can make the same move that Simo made last time by, but it looks like he won't have enough to get around Gooding here either.
Fellows' car does not seem to be quite as quick on the straight line as these two guys. Maybe he hasn't got quite the punch. And of course, Brian Simo, as I said, is actually pulling away now from John Gooding. Not much, but he is certainly pulling away from him.
Simo may be able to get up and join that battle for the lead. Dorsey Schroeder about a second and a half back as we see some tire smoke. It looked like they're off Gooding's, the rear end of Gooding's.
He's just locking up as he turned into that left-hander with the old brakes on, and that'll do it. And of course, if you do it too much, that flat spotting tire, which also is not very nice.
Very interesting scene here at Trois-Rivières where this race is being held. Greg Pickett back on the racetrack. That's actually Bill Saunders, his teammate in the Highwaymaster car. As we watch Bill Saunders move by and come by pit road, head up onto the main straightaway. Saunders sitting back in 8th spot. He's got a good run going here today. On the lead lap, Tommy Kendall still out in front. We take a little look back further in the field. Greg Pickett back on track as well in the Autolink Chevrolet, car number 6. John Visignano, what happened down there?
2 plug wires off, guys. It was very unfortunate. The car was running strong, and he was managing his tires and his brakes. But those 2 plug wires cost him at least 2 laps. Car 66 also replacing that right front tire again.
Leighton Reese in the pits a couple of times early. They were hoping for a good run today in the Phillips 66 Pontiac. Leighton from the Minneapolis area. Last time we were with you on TNN Motorsports, he crashed hard. He was on his way perhaps to the top 5 and wrecked. They put a couple of front clips on the car. He got it ready for this weekend, hoping for a good finish, but looks like they won't quite have it.
He bounced up the wall big time.
He sure did. Battle for 9th, Mike Lewis in the 55 and RJ Valentine in the 7. They are battling for 9th and 10th. Right now, Mike Lewis, the rookie from San Diego, with 9th spot in hand in car 55 there. But RJ Valentine from Hingham, Massachusetts, the Pennzoil MBA Group Chevrolet, trying to work his way by as they come back onto the main straightaway.
Of course, RJ Valentine, too, has a tremendous history in Trans Am racing. He's done a tremendous amount of these races. Mike Lewis, on the other hand, is as a rookie, going for Rookie of the Year this year, but at the moment he is way behind, of course, Mike Borkowski, who's also going for Rookie of the Year honours this year. But Lewis now slipping back into the grip by the look of things of R.J. Valentine. So
Lewis about 25 seconds behind. Lap times around here in race conditions about 1:04, 1:05. This is a 1.5 mile, 11-turn street course at Trois-Rivières. We started to talk about the sports complex here. Inside the racetrack here, there's a baseball stadium, a hockey rink, and a half-mile horse track. So it's quite a place. This is a real center for sports in Quebec.
And it has the biggest swimming pool I've ever seen. It's Olympic length wide. They have 8 lanes of Olympic racing, and that's just going across it. I mean, the thing's about 1/2 mile long. I've never seen a swimming pool like it.
You're just sorry you didn't bring your trunks this weekend, right?
Yeah, because the shame is up here in Quebec, you can only use it for about 3 weeks of the year.
Michael Lewis in the 55, still 9th. There's R.J. Valentine sitting 10th. Your leader is still Tommy Kendall. We put 14 laps on the board. Bill Saunders directly in front. Saunders is 8th in the 8 car as we watch Tommy Kendall.
These onboard cameras, of course, give you a great sound of the gear noise. All these straight cut gears. I mean, they just sound dreadful. But I mean, they sound like they're going to give up the ghost any minute. But they're strong gears. But boy, they don't half whine away there, don't they?
Kendall up the short straightaway. That's the pit entrance.
That's
to the
where
left.
he made the big pass, of course, coming into that corner there. This is where the other drivers have some little questions about his car. That is, coming off these corners, it never seems to fishtail. They're just wondering what evil thing they've got in the back there.
Some say that the Roush team has discovered some trick for the rear end of that car that nobody else seems to have. Problems again for Leighton Reese. 14 complete. It's Kendall out in front at Trois-Rivières.
Sign up.
Back live at Three Rivers, Quebec, Canada. Trouble for the driver we thought would challenge Tommy Kendall today. John Bizignano.
Well, unfortunately, Ron Fellows has been in the pits for about 2 laps now. They have the hood off the car, and they're trying to fix everything down in the motor. They are just not revving. Ron Fellows, what's the matter?
Well, it got a bit of a miss, unfortunately, and the motor's gone off. But oh well.
I mean, your only Trans Am race, a race that you've won several times before. It must be a huge disappointment at this time.
Well, I love coming to Three Rivers, and regardless, I thank Tom for the opportunity to come back to Three Rivers. I'm sorry it ended like this.
Well, 2 wins in the past 2 years, but not this year, guys.
No trifecta for Ron Fellows. Tommy Kendall is your race leader. 18 laps complete for a third of the way home. We talk all the time, David, about how the Trans Am is a sprint series. This race only 80 miles actually today, so pitting is obviously not what you want to do. You need to save those tires.
Pitting is out of the question. It certainly doesn't come into the equation. You're right, they are sprint races, but they are at the same time. You've still got to manage your car because these are heavy cars, a lot of horsepower, big brakes, and of course it's tough on the tires, especially on a day like today. Luckily the air temperature's dropped a little bit today, but it's still hot on that track. That track temperature is hot.
I know you like Michael Lewis as a driver. He's wheeling the white Mustang here, the 55. He is coming up now to challenge Bill Saunders for 7th spot in that Greg Pickett machine, the Highwaymaster Chevrolet.
Bill Saunders qualified absolutely unbelievably yesterday afternoon. He was in 8th. He was ahead of Greg Pickett, much more experienced Trans Am driver himself in the team car, but now he's coming under some serious pressure from young Mike Lewis, who's looking for those points for Rookie of the Year championship. Mike Borkowski, of course, is still in front of him. Nevertheless, every point he can get helps in that quest.
Right back there, a little further back, R.J. Valentine in the yellow machine. He's up to 9th.
And I think just behind R.J. was Greg Pickett. Well, it was Johnny Miller. Yeah.
Michael Lewis, as you say, 2nd in the rookie standings behind Mike Borkowski, and Lewis putting all kinds of pressure now on Saunders, trying to find a way to sneak by him. Coming to turn 11 now, heading to the main straightaway.
Huge crowd here today, I might point out. Absolutely massive crowd. When I was coming in this morning, one of the other races was on. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of people here. Mike Lewis goes down inside. Turn 1, squeezes Saunders out. Saunders has to give way for him, and now, of course, he's got a quick run here through turn 2 and 3. If he can gain a bit of time there, he'll have the pressure taken off him from Saunders.
And as you say many times, David, it looked as though Saunders was in fact holding Lewis up. Lewis obviously a lot quicker.
A lot quicker, yeah, and he was obviously a lot quicker than R.J. Valentine, who was before him, right with him a few moments ago. So now the thing is, can Mike Lewis catch up with Gentilozzi? Gentilozzi, of course, is rocketing along with some pretty good lap time.
While Gentilozzi is 6th, a little further ahead on the racetrack. This is a battle now for 11th spot. Max Lagarde in the Hypermax car, the white number 83. He's 11th. And just in front of him is John Miller in 10th spot in the 64. Then you have Randy Ruhlman in car number 50. That's the Freeform Line Products Dodge, the only Dodge in Trans Am competition. That's a Dodge Daytona from several years ago that Randy continues to use. Lagarde making his 22nd career start here today in the 83 car. There's John Miller, the PLC Direct Chevrolet, the 64, running in 10th spot. And back down to pit road, Ron Fellows out of the Tom Gloy Mustang, car number 2. So Ron Fellows from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada will not be around to take the checkered flag here today. Dan Binks taking a look out on the track. Look at this. Brian Simo, who's running third in the race, has gotten into one of the other cars. Ray Genick in the 72, the Bamal machine, into the wall hard. So we've got yellow, at least in that part of the course. And look at Simo. The hood of the car is off. Flapping in the breeze as Simo comes by. That will put a serious crimp in his hopes today.
That certainly will. He was running a good third spot. He was only 2 seconds behind Dorsey Schroeder, the team leader. So Brian Simo having a good run. We don't know whether he ran into the 72 car Ray Genick before it hit the wall or afterwards, but obviously it looks like they're both out now. This will probably bring out a full course caution, I think.
So Brian Simo on a pit road. He was running third, and we're told that the yellow is going to wave off the starter's stand. Simo brings the Valvoline Ford down to the attention of Bill Fingerlow and the Tom Gloy crew. There's Mike Jennings with the yellow in hand. 21 laps on the board. We've got 33 to go. John Bizignano, what's going on down there?
Well, they're ripping the hood of the car off. There's certainly some damage to the right front. They're going to have some aerodynamic problems on the right front spoiler. In fact, all the connecting rods that hold on that right front spoiler, they are broken, and there's no way they can allow this car back on the track at the moment. And now they're looking into the inside of the wheel. This car hit something very hard.
Brian Simo making contact with Ray Genick back on one of the earlier corners. Looked like it might have been turn 7.
Yeah.
And Genick's car against the tire barrier. He's still down there. They haven't been able to remove that car as yet. We'll show you. This is right after the incident. It looked as though Genick may have come across in front of Brian Simo.
I don't know what happened there. Unless he was trying to make a brave outside pass. That's that tight turn 6 at the end of that straight where so many people outbrake each other. Maybe Brian Simo tried to make the outside pass and it all went wrong.
Looks as though the Tom Gloy crew is going to push the 22 around behind pit wall, or at least out of the pit stall. Here at Three Rivers, the way this is set up, the paddock area where the teams put the transporters is right behind pit wall. There's a little grandstand there, but there's an entrance. You can push the car around and back to the hauler if you needed to. Crew talking to Brian Simo now is pulling his helmet off. Looks as though his afternoon is over early as well. Must be some heavy damage to the front.
The left front there was pretty torn up, wasn't it? So that's a disappointment for Brian Simo.
So we're under full course caution. Team owner Tom Gloy taking a look at the standings on the computer, taking a look at our broadcast as well on direct satellite today, and talking to Fingerlow on the radio. So we will reset things for you. Tommy Kendall under caution remains the leader. He was behind for several laps. Dorsey Schroeder led, but Tommy got by on lap 4 to take the lead. He's led since then. Brian Simo out of his machine. His afternoon done way too early, as we are not quite to halfway. John Bizignano.
Brian, what happened out there? We couldn't tell from our camera vantage.
Oh, we had someone going into the wall in front of us. Reason for that, I really don't know. Maybe it was Dorsey trying to pass him. I don't know if he lost fluid or whatever, and he's sticking straight into the tire wall and nowhere for me to go. I clipped his back end and kind of pulled me into him. So made short work at the front of the car. Suspension collapsed.
Well, they're trying to put things back together, but it looks like terminal damage to me.
Yeah, I think it's terminal. I think we're done for the day. Disappointing. You know, we had a rough go in qualifying. I think we got our setup back and sure ready to do business. You know, buying time. This is a place where things like that obviously happen. And I'm real disappointed I'm not out there. The Valvoline car was running great, and I guess it's one of those things you got to expect it here. Timing's everything.
These walls are hard. He started in 7th, came all the way up to 3rd. 2 Gloy cars out of this very important race.
So Brian Simo very disappointed. Now coming in today, he was tied for 3rd in the series points with John Gooding. So his point standing situation will not be helped, obviously, by this. Ray Genick's car still against the tire barrier. The safety crew out there to put him on the hook. 22 into the books. Tommy Kendall and Dorsey Schroeder, your top 2. We'll be right back. Plenty of reasons for everybody to enjoy coming here to Three Rivers in Quebec, Canada. One of them is the scenery. The shores of the St. Lawrence River. One of the beautiful sights that you can enjoy when you come to this part of the world. And we all enjoy it for a variety of reasons. Weather's been perfect all weekend. Fun place to come. The folks here really make you feel welcome. 23 laps complete. There's your first 10. Tommy Kendall at the head of the class. John Gooding moves back up to 3rd. Paul Gentilozzi has climbed back to 5th after that early spin when he tagged the tire barriers hard. We show you the rest of the field. Greg Pickett with early problems. He's back in 16th spot. Rod Fellows will be 19th. Leighton Reese still running. He is 18th. A couple of pit stops for tires for the Minnesotans. So Leighton Reese in the Phillips 66 machine with his work cut out, but plenty of laps to come up through the field and get a good finish today. Brian Simo will finish in the final spot today. Tough way to run this race for Brian Simo, who is third in series points. Paul Gentilozzi looking strong, John Bizignano.
Absolutely, and one of the reasons for that is Mark Strickland. Mark, that spin seemed to lit a fire under your man.
Well, I think that upped his adrenaline a little bit, yeah. Yeah, he's doing fine.
Now, again, no damage whatsoever. I mean, it's so unusual for someone to be able to spin in these conditions here with these hard walls. I can't believe that he didn't report a flat spot somewhere.
Well, he hasn't said anything about it, and his fastest race lap is coming at lap 20, so that indicates a good, healthy car.
Everything's working fine. 2-4, two of the top Fords out. He's running 5th. He needs to score some points for Chevrolet.
Well,
he certainly does.
He's real lonesome up there, that's for sure, so we're going to hope for the best here.
Well, the fastest Chevy in the field is still out there trying to do some honor for him. Car number 23 in the pits, smoking badly. I think his day's over.
Bob Ruman with a problem as we watch the Gloy Racing team push the Valvoline Ford of Brian Simo behind the wall. His afternoon is done. That's a heck of a hole they put in the fiberglass and carbon fiber nose piece of the Tom Gloy Ford. It looks like one lap to go till the green reappears. Tough break for Bob Ruman, too, from Ohio, the Sendwell Chevrolet. Apparently problems in that machine, so his afternoon is done. David, you've run here. You know how tough this racetrack is. They've been coming here since the 70s. This has got to be very, very demanding, not just on the driver, but on the car. We're seeing a lot of cars with problems here early in the going.
Well, of course, any of these street circuits is so demanding because both sides are covered with walls. So you just can't afford to make a mistake. At somewhere like a Road America or Mid-Ohio, things go wrong. You just put a wheel on the grass, and even if you're overtaking somebody or whatever, you know, you've got some room. But there is no grass here. There is no room for error. And this is a very twisty track. You know, we've got, it's called an 11, it's called 10 turns, but it's really 12 if you count a couple of kinks that they don't officially count. So there's an awful lot of action going on here in just a mile and a half. So these guys have got to concentrate very, very hard all the time. And once you get into traffic, and there's a couple of places where there's just no chance of overtaking, like under the bridge there. Obviously, you know, you've got to get it all done before you get there. And if you get left out in the cold, then it puts a lot of strain to go down the hill. And it's tough on the brakes, and it's tough on the tires. And these big cars, you know, they slide them around. Pace car lights are out now, so we're going to see a restart. Obviously, Dorsey Schroeder's hoping to get in front of him, but I doubt if he will, but he might.
Tom Gloy talking to his team as they look things over at the scoring monitor, trying to see if they can help Dorsey Schroeder and Mike Borkowski, two of their 4 cars, the only 2 left in the competition here this afternoon, if they can help them move up a little bit. Tommy Kendall in the all-sport Ford, car number 11, the restart leader. Safety car dives onto pit road. Dorsey Schroeder in the blue and white Ray Bestis machine from the Gloy shop, second here on the restart. He was the early leader today.
Kendall legging it ahead before he gets that last turn.
Up over the rumble strips, coming to the start-finish line now. Mike Jennings dropping the green, and we're back underway. 25 complete here. 30 to go this afternoon. We're glad you're with us for the SCCA Trans Am Series, part of a very busy month of August. Next week, Watkins Glen. Following weekend, Road America in Wisconsin, your home turf.
Absolutely. Just drive up that one.
All that action coming your way on TNN Motorsports in the next couple of weeks. As we take a look at Paul Gentilozzi sitting 5th. Right in front of him, Mike Borkowski is 4th in the 4, trying to hold Gentilozzi back there. Here's Paul to the inside. Looked like he got out of line, David.
Yep, we got cars 4 and 5 running in 4th and 5th spot. Gentilozzi's car looks a bit twitchy. He must have got the setup just to give him some plenty of rotation on these tight corners, but it's making obviously a bit of a handful for him to drive.
No change among the top 5. 3rd spot is Gooding. There's Borkowski. Let's check back in on pit road.
Tom Gloy, you've lost 2 of your 4 cars out there. What kind of shape are your last 2 cars in?
Well, John, to be honest, they're not as good as we'd like. A little bit of trouble in each car. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Can you tell us about the problems? You've been talking with your crews here. You've been very focused. What's up with them?
Well, I can't actually tell you right now, John, because it would be a competitive disadvantage, but we do have a little bit of problem.
We'll get back to you later, Tom. Good luck.
So Dorsey Schroeder, obviously not having the kind of afternoon he had hoped to. Dorsey really with high hopes that he could derail this incredible Kendall Express that's going on, but right now he's second and doesn't seem to be gaining any ground on Tommy.
Well, of course, there's still a long way to go, and a lot of mistakes can happen, and even Tommy Kendall course, can get caught up in traffic, or he can have a mechanical failure, although the Roush cars certainly aren't known for their mechanical failures, but nevertheless, there's quite a long way to go. So the thing that Dorsey's got to do is got to keep the pressure on all the time and just hope that if he keeps the pressure on enough, that Tommy Kendall will make a mistake. And that's about all he can hope for at the moment.
We watched the first 5 go by. A little smoke there as the first 5 went by. And Gentilozzi makes his way through. Borkowski directly in front of him, sitting in 4th spot. Someone may have brushed the wall on the way out of turn 8 there, heading toward turn 9. Good run from Michael Lewis. If you look a little further back behind Gentilozzi's red machine, you'll see the white and blue car. Mike Lewis, he is up to 6th now. So the rookie driver in car number 55 doing a great job. Kendall down through turn 1, out in front. There's Dorsey in the Ray Bestis car. He is 2nd. Looked like Dorsey's car was sliding a little bit.
Exactly, and of course that's what Dorsey just can't believe, the way Kendall's car hardly ever does slide.
Through the gate in turn 3, up the back straightaway. Kendall, your leader. Schroeder is 2nd. Brian Simo out of the race, trying to help his Gloy teammates figure out how they might be able to take a win here today. We'll be right back. We're live at Three Rivers, Quebec, Canada for the SCCA Trans Am Championship. Rick Benjamin, David Hobbs, John Misignano on pit road for us today. Your race leader, as he has been so often this season, Tommy Kendall in the All-Sport Ford. He's got a 2nd and a half over Dorsey Schroeder, who led the first couple of laps today. Started on the pole to Dorsey, but Kendall got by him on the 4th lap. And it is now Tommy Kendall's race in hand by about 12 car lengths up the back straightaway. Back to 3rd, John Gooding there in the Mountain Dew Ford. He's got a big lead over Mike Borkowski, about 6 seconds. There's Borkowski, who has won 2 races here at Three Rivers in past years. There's Paul Gentilozzi in 5th spot. Gentilozzi drew the 5 ball again this weekend to start 5th, and the top 5 qualifiers redraw. 7 of 8 times this year, Gentilozzi has pulled the number 5 pill.
It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? You just could hardly believe it could happen quite so much.
Now we're going to show you something. Gentilozzi was on the move here a moment ago, getting by Borkowski. This is coming into turn 7, but apparently he wasn't able to hold on to the spot. Here's why. We saw the smoke. Look at this. Gentilozzi locked up his brakes.
Big time lock up there. Yeah, he's got his car set up. It's a bit twitchy for him this afternoon, so he's having to redrive it hard.
Mike Lewis right behind Gentilozzi. Now Lewis up to 6th and gaining ground. They're 12 seconds behind Kendall, the race leader. Gentilozzi down to the gate. This is turn 3. There's Borkowski right in front of him, running 4th. Gentilozzi 5th in the Riso Digital Duplicator Chevrolet. 7th in series points on the season.
Holding off Lewis now. Lewis having got around him once, but he's obviously not going to let that happen again if he can possibly help it. Paul Gentilozzi much more experienced, of course, than Mike Lewis at using the road, using all the track there to make sure that Lewis doesn't sneak down the inside as they come into this tight turn 8. And then, of course, a little quick blast up to the last turn right around the end of the pit wall there, turn 9. That's the pit entry on the left. Very tight hairpin out.
23 laps remaining this afternoon. Tommy Kendall remains out in front by almost 2 seconds. There's Dorsey Schroeder sitting in 2nd spot. Let's head back to pit road.
Well, Rick, Dan Binks has just heard his favorite word from his driver. Everything is perfect. What's that stopwatch telling you, Dan?
He's taking it easy, but still, keeping a good pace. We're just going to run some laps here and see what we can do at the end.
So he's not pushing it at all, and he's still pulling away from everyone.
Well, we're pushing it some, but we're not showing everything. I mean, Dorsey's not showing everything either, and Jonathan's not done with him yet either.
It's going to be a shootout these last 10 laps.
Sounds like John Gooding may have a trick or two up his sleeve, hoping for a 2nd spot here today.
Well, Tommy Kendall, of course, now is into serious tire management mode. After that caution period there, the tires had a chance to cool off. Obviously, they heated up again when they all get the green flag again, and that's a lap you're going to be very careful with. But right now, you'll see that he's really using not all of the road at all. He is not using much road. He's been very careful. He's not getting the power down. He's not making the car slide around. You watch when he comes out of turn 1. He comes out basically in the middle of the road.
21 laps to go. There's Dorsey Schroeder in 2nd spot. Dan Binks, you heard him a moment ago say he doesn't think Dorsey's showing all of his cards quite yet as they move by the lap car of Jim Briotti.
Yeah, now Dorsey Schroeder was sliding a little bit there as he came through turn 1.
Now remember, Kendall today going for his 8th consecutive Trans Am win. He's won all 7 races so far this year. That would tie him with the legendary Mark Donohue for the most consecutive Trans Am wins in a year. Kendall, your leader, back with more in Quebec, Canada in a moment. Welcome back to Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada, live on TNN Motorsports, the Grand Prix. of Trois-Rivières, the SCCA Trans Am. Tommy Kendall is your race leader. Head to pit road, John Bisognano.
Leighton Reese, a short Trans Am for you. You spent 3 times in the pits here, come in and out. What finally did it to you?
Well, we got tangled up with Ruman there at the beginning. I don't know what he's thinking about, but 50-some laps in this race. Looks like we're the victim of a drive shaft, ultimately. Just a bad day for that Trop Arctic Field Works.
A lot of work going on in the right front also. What was up with that?
Well, apparently the wheel came loose after we put a new one on and it ripped up the studs. So just one of those deals. Really frustrating. It's been a frustrating season. We're trying to keep a good attitude.
On to Watkins Glen. Back to you guys.
Well, Leighton Reese, a stalwart of Trans Am racing, came in last year, tried to be a little bit different, didn't he, with the V6 and the lighter car, with the V6 engine, and really has been struggling. He doesn't have huge budgets. He's got some nice sponsorship from Trop Arctic and Phillips 66 Petroleum, but still in all, Leighton Reese struggling.
He is. They've got a different sort of car. That was originally an ASA stock car that they converted to Trans Am specs. That's still called a concept car. It's a tube chassis car, no carbon fiber or anything like that. Leighton, the privateer, doing a great job as we watch Randy Ruhlman, who's running 11th in the Dodge, the 50. This is the battle for 9th. The 64 of Johnny Miller is 9th right now. Max Lagat is 10th. Ruhlman 11th out of Cleveland, and he is trying to go by, get around and take away the 10th spot from Lagat. He may be able to do it.
Looks as if he's about to do it right now. Drafting up the straight, and yeah, not quite. Hasn't quite enough brake to get on the inside of him as they come to this tight turn 6. Sun now starting to get a bit lower in the sky. It's been a beautiful day all day, but now you can see that sun is shining right into the windshields of these cars. So, oh my gosh, we got a big bang on the back there of Dorsey Schroeder's car. He must have just clipped the wall.
He did. We're told that Dorsey belted the wall in the second corner on the right rear corner of that car. So the Ray Bestis Ford of Tom Gloy, Dorsey Schroeder, your driver, will show you what happened. There he is, into the concrete, coming down to the gate there.
Scraping the wall on the way down the hill there. Oh, and then clipped
hard into the wall.
Clipped it on the exit there as a turn 3.
Dorsey is still second, but he's lost 5 seconds to Tommy Kendall. So the lead for Kendall now 7.5 seconds here on lap 37. 17 to go. We'll show it to you again. Oh, he spun back into the barrier.
Well, he scraped the wall coming into the corner, which I thought was a bit brave. But I mean, you need to get over as far to the right as you possibly can on braking. But he overdid it just a little and backed it into the tire. And of course, that could have happened so easy to Paul Gentilozzi's car, but it didn't.
And there's a question about some of the tires perhaps on the Ray Bestis Ford, so we'll see what we can find out on pit road. Dorsey Schroeder, your early leader today. Trouble for Dorsey. He's been in the wall now trying to track down Kendall, but this has cost him a lot of time and a lot of room on the racetrack. Kendall is 7.5 seconds. Here's another look now. Here's Schroeder. Kendall through the gate. Here's Schroeder into the wall.
Golly, I wonder if he has got a tyre going down, which led him out to the wall there when he put the brakes on. Then as he came around the corner, half spun it. I mean, lucky for him, those tyres were right there because they put him right back on track again without actually doing a huge amount of damage.
The front look that we showed you gives you a better idea of how far crossed up Dorsey was coming through the gate. He was sideways when he got into the wall. That look didn't show it quite as clearly. Randy Ruhlman, meantime, has moved by Max Lagat, so Ruhlman has taken 10th spot away. So a good run for Randy Ruhlman in the Dodge, getting by the Hypermax car, the 83 of Max Lagat there. So give Ruhlman, who now races out of Greensboro, North Carolina, a 10th spot here today at Trois-Rivières.
Now he's setting off after John Miller in the 64 car. So can he make up some ground on John Miller? John Miller, of course, last year's Rookie of the Year. He's the guy that we've heard so much about. Mortgaged his house to go racing, and obviously was very happy to do that.
As we watch that battle for 9th and 10th and 11th spot, let's check back in on pit road. John Bisognano.
Well, the situation with the tires on that particular Ford of Dorsey Schroeder is that Dorsey's reporting that they're okay. No problem with the rears. That wasn't the problem that sent him off the track. There's an awful lot of bodywork damage, and of course that's affecting the aerodynamics. Now, Dorsey Schroeder has been complaining that the car has been loose, and I think, David Hobbs, you have been saying that it has looked loose. This is the setup that they're just not happy with, that they went out with, and now he has to live with it. Dorsey Schroeder feels that he's given it all this car and everything that he has, and he's not going to catch the leader.
Well, of course, a lot of guys like their cars loose at tracks like this with a lot of these tight little corners, because you can get some good rotation, you get the car around. Otherwise they push like mad, which is very unpleasant. But of course, on the other hand, if you set up a bit too loose and you get too much heat in the tires, then suddenly the whole thing goes downhill. And we've seen him sliding pretty good through turn 1 here.
Dorsey Schroeder still second, but 8.5 seconds back. He slid that time. You can hear that.
You can hear him lock him up then. Yeah, and see the car's cocked up as he goes through there, and of course that's going to give John Gooding here in the 16 car a fine opportunity to try and catch up with Dorsey, and of course maybe we'd see a Roush Racing 1-2.
That happened back at St. Petersburg to start the season. Kendall on an incredible tear. You know the story. Gunning for his 8th straight win here this weekend. He's got an 8-second lead now. 40 laps on the board. 15 remaining here at Trois-Rivières. We take a look back now. This is the battle for 4th. And look at that. Paul Gentilozzi has gotten by Mike Borkowski. So Gentilozzi, even though he's been sideways and off the line a couple of times today, has come back and he's taken 4th spot away from the youngster Mike Borkowski from Connecticut.
Well, of course, if he takes that 4th spot away too, that delays for at least one more race the chance of Ford winning, taking the manufacturer's title in this race, because they had to finish 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. If this position stays like this, obviously they won't.
Gentilozzi with a good run today, getting back after that early spin and contact with the tire barrier. We showed you that back in the early laps here today. Climbing back into 4th spot now.
And now he's got around Mike Borkowski. He's pulling away just a little bit, isn't he?
He is. He's opening up some room there on the 4 car.
But he's got a long way. He's a fair old way behind. He's about 5 seconds behind John Gooding in the 16 car. So he's got a bit of ground to make up there.
Now 41 laps complete, 14 to go. That means you're about 20 miles left in this race. I would think now you could use your tires pretty safely.
Well, you could start opening up 20 miles there. You probably could leave it for another couple of 3 laps yet.
So Paul Gentilozzi takes his Riso Chevrolet into 4th. Full house here watching the SCCA Trans Am at Trois-Rivières. We'll be right back. Beautiful scenery around Trois-Rivières in Quebec, Canada. This is one of the marinas on the St. Lawrence River. We're glad to have you with us today for our coverage of the SCCA Trans Am Championship. Rick Benjamin, David Hobbs, John Visignano on pit road today. This is the battle for 2nd spot. John Gooding putting all kinds of heat on Dorsey Schroeder in the Ray Bestas Mustang.
Dorsey Schroeder's car looking a bit unstable there, wasn't it?
And there's Gooding as they come toward turn 2. Gooding alongside has to give ground. Dorsey holds the spot for now.
No way he's going to be able to get around the outside there, because that turn 2 is covered in rolled up rubber and dust after a full day's racing here. So a lot of people might say, well, why didn't he go the long way around the outside? But I tell you what, if you walk down and have a look at turn 2, no going around the outside at this stage of the weekend.
A little off camber there as well.
And
so
it's off camber,
the banking. This is the battle for 2nd spot at Trois-Rivières. John Gooding in the green machine, the Mountain Dew Ford, trying to get by Dorsey Schroeder. Gentilozzi working his way a little further back. You saw the 2 red Camaros. Gentilozzi in the red and black car. He is 4th, trying to get in position to come up and challenge for 3rd.
But Dorsey Schroeder is not about to let John Gooding go here, because he's already 74 points behind going into this race. That's Dorsey. He certainly doesn't want John Gooding coming in to spoil that run. So I think at this point he's probably holding John Gooding up a little bit, which is a great opportunity for Paul Gentilozzi, who's just coming into the picture there. So Gentilozzi, coming back off that spin when he backed into the wall early on, just right here, is now making some ground up.
Here's Gooding again, getting off turn 1. Much better than Dorsey as they lap by Jim Brioni. Dorsey pushes out. Here's Gooding to the inside to the gate. Let's see if he can do it.
Oh, we got to be brave here.
Too wide, they make it, and Gooding makes the pass.
And Dorsey let him go. I mean, Dorsey had to let him go, but I mean, that was a great move there by John Gooding. Certainly was all his brave pills have been sucked down this morning, because he was down there in that bridge side by side.
Full breakfast, obviously, today.
I think I'll have one of those, 8 of those.
John Gooding with a great move to take 2nd spot. We'll show it to you one more time. Coming out of 2, down the hill to 3. And Dorsey Schroeder with obviously lack of grip, as they say in road racing here, letting Gooding get to the inside.
Dorsey's car looks twitchy, but I don't think I've ever seen people go through that bridge side by side. I think that's the first time I've ever seen anybody go through there side by side.
John Gooding now in 2nd spot. We'll see if he can get close to the boss. Team leader Tommy Kendall. John Visignano on pit road. How happy are the Roush team down there?
I'll tell you guys, it looks like a victory down here already. They are cheering and screaming for John Gooding just as much as they are for the leader of this race. He is certainly having the race of his career. Back to you guys.
Another guy who's having a great run today. You saw the 55, Mike Lewis. He's gotten by the 4 of Mike Borkowski, so give Lewis 5th spot now in car number 55.
Boy, that is surprising. Mike Borkowski not going like I thought he would do here at all, having won twice here in other classes. And look at this, a great pass by Lewis. They come down to that turn 9. This is where Kendall administered the coup de grace to old Dorsey earlier on. Does a great move there, and Borkowski has to give way. Let him through.
So Lewis now moves up a spot into 5th. Borkowski back to 6th in the Textron 4. That's the other Tom Gloy machine, the 4th of the 4-car stable.
Tom Gloy not having a good day today, is he?
Not at all.
2 cars out. Dorsey slowing off the pace. Borkowski off the pace.
We just saw that battle. You've got a battle for 3rd taking shape. Paul Gentilozzi all over Dorsey Schroeder now. So Dorsey with 4 seconds in the 3rd in 7 races this season. Maybe about to give up another spot here to Gentilozzi late in the going. 8 laps to go. Here's Gentilozzi to the inside in turn 1.
Ooh, and Dorsey snaps across the bow there of Gentilozzi, saying, not this time, sunshine. You're going to have to wait for at least another couple of corners. Let's see if we're going to see more side-by-side motoring through the bridge.
Down to the gate. Gentilozzi. Dorsey just can't keep the car down low there.
Never seen it happen before. Never seen it twice in 3 laps.
Well, obviously, coming down that hill, Dorsey's car, the handling's gone to the point where he just can't get to the inside there.
I think he's lost his under tray. I just saw on one of those long shots a minute ago, there was something flapping around under the car, which would certainly affect his handling badly.
So Gentilozzi now up to 3rd in the Riso Chevrolet, the 5. Dorsey back to 4th in the Ray Bestis Ford.
Can you see anything with the light shining under the car? It looked like something flapping around under there. And if the under tray had come loose, and was bouncing off the deck, that wouldn't be helping him at all.
7 laps to go. Tommy Kendall remains the leader. John Gooding is 2nd. Another car down on pit road. We watch Dorsey come through turn 11 and head toward the main straightaway one more time. There's Gentilozzi now running up in 3rd spot in car number 5. Directly in front of him, Bruce Barkaloo, several laps down. Barkaloo is 12th. I'll show it to you one more time. Here's how Gentilozzi made the move down the hill toward turn 3. At the inside line, Dorsey had to jump on the brakes. Gentilozzi takes 3rd spot away here at Trois-Rivières. 8 laps to go. Back with more in a moment. Welcome back to Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada, the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières on TNN Motorsports. Rick Benjamin, David Hobbs, John Bizignano as we watch Dorsey Schroeder, who led early, was 2nd for a long time. More problems for the Ray Bestis Ford. He and Mike Lewis tangled.
He got nudged there by Mike Lewis. Mike Lewis getting awfully brave, coming up there to take away that spot from Dorsey and nudged him round at turn 9, so Dorsey won't be liking that too much.
He drops back to 7th spot. The driver who led the first couple of laps today was 2nd for a long time behind Tommy Kendall. Clipped the wall earlier. As you heard team owner Tom Gloy tell us.
Yeah, the whole floor's coming apart on that thing, isn't it? You can just see it when you get the right light on the right shot. The whole floor underneath the back axle is all flapping about, coming unglued somehow.
Well, when he caught the wall with the right rear corner of the car, you've got to think that knocked everything loose.
Fractured something under there, yeah.
Less than 5 laps to go. Mike Lewis is up to 4th spot. Paul Gentilozzi is 3rd. Let's check back in on pit road.
David Steele, your man, is doing quite well, and this is one of the battles for Rookie of the Year. How's Michael Lewis feeling out there?
He's feeling pretty good. He's asked what kind of lead he had on the radio, but he knocked Dorsey, so I don't know if we're going to get in trouble for that or not. He said he thought Dorsey was going to let him by. But we're on a career best force, so we'll take it.
So there may be a penalty coming your way?
I don't know. I hope not.
How important is it to the team and your driver to get that Rookie of the Year accreditation?
That's what our goal is, and we would really like to win it. So,
well, a victory here would be to gain some points in that very important championship, Rookie of the Year.
Mike Lewis at the moment 4th. It would be quite a win for him. He's got a 4th already this year at Phoenix. He's up against a guy, Mike Borkowski, who's very talented and has a ton of help from the Tom Gloy team. Here's Lewis and Dorsey tangling a few moments ago.
I don't see him getting a penalty for that. I mean, Dorsey basically closed the door on him. I mean, yes, he wasn't fully alongside him, but he was certainly got his nose well and truly in there. And Dorsey tried to close the gap on him, and it was all too late. So I think that was just one of those racing incidents. On board again, Tommy Kendall. Get some trees flashing by on the right here. You don't want to hang over when you see them going by. Shadows
not
flickering.
At all. Up the long straightaway toward turn 7. Tommy Kendall out in front. He'll get 2 to go. This time by Kendall on the line to win his 8th consecutive SCCA Trans Am in 1997. He is the point leader by a huge margin as he works up on Jim Briotti one more time in the 42. He's got an 11-second lead over his teammate John Gooding. Paul Gentilozzi is another 8 seconds back in 3rd, but that's a very strong 3rd for Gentilozzi. Remember, he spun early and clipped the wall pretty hard. and had other trouble. Got off course in turn 9 and almost went around.
He was
for Gentilozzi to come back and come to third. Certainly a good run today. This is the dogfight for 9th. Johnny Miller in car number 64. Randy Ruhlman in the 50. The Dodge. They're duking it out for 9th here with a couple of laps to go, and Miller's got his hands full.
And Randy Ruhlman was quite a long way behind Johnny Miller, so he's made a lot of ground up on Miller. But again, catching people up and getting around them are two different things. So Johnny Miller's got his mirrors full here, and Randy Ruhlman obviously can smell the scent to get around him, and that would give him a really nice 9th spot, which would be great for him in the Dodge.
Miller continues 9th in the PLC Direct Chevrolet. That's the 64. Ruhlman making his 65th career start. No longer a series regular. Ran regularly for several seasons back in the early 90s, and now makes occasional appearances in that Dodge Daytona. And we've got a car around. That's the 8 of Bill Saunders, who has spun. The Highwaymaster Chevrolet. Saunders looks like on the outside of turn 1 that he got off the mark.
And I think he lost the spot then to Borkowski.
He sure did. Saunders was 5th when he spun. Now, white flag coming up for Tommy Kendall. There it is. Kendall on the last trip around this 1.5-mile road course at Trois-Rivières. Team manager Danny Binks looking on. Looking to see if he can hang on for just another mile or so for 8 in a row.
Well, of course, Kendall and Binks have been together for such a long time. Since Tommy Kendall was regular in IMSA, there's a lot of yellow flags out. Oil down there. You can see the smoke from somebody. A lot of oil down there, so Tommy tiptoeing through that. As I say, Dan Binks and Tommy have been together a long time. They won the championship with 2 championships for IMSA when he was only 19 years old.
Now next week we'll be at Watkins Glen. You'll see the Serengeti Eyewear Trans Am on TNN Motorsports. Kendall can break Mark Donohue's record at the track where Donohue came a cropper many years ago at Watkins Glen.
He can indeed, and of course he's in a very, very, very strong way to winning the championship again.
Ed Hinchliffe off the course of the 29. Tommy Kendall heading toward the checkered flag. Coming toward the last corner, there's Saunders slow after that spin. Kendall comes by the entrance to pit road. Dan Binks gets ready to jump up on pit wall. Here's Kendall into turn 11, and he's waving to the fans all alone. It'll be uncontested. Tommy Kendall will win his 8th consecutive SCCA Trans Am. Mike Jennings drops the checkered flag over the All-Sport Ford, and Tommy Kendall has tied Mark Donohue's record for 8 in a row. Let's go to pit road.
Danny Binks, does it get any sweeter than this whatsoever?
No, it's incredible. It really is. I'm telling you, all the guys at Roush, Jack, we done it, man. 8. Unbelievable. The engine shop, all the guys at home, Rob, Tom Ginn, Chris Gillenue, all those guys in the engine shop. I mean, it's just incredible. A bunch of work by about 50 people to make this happen. I tell you, it's unbelievable.
And Gooding, too, his best race ever.
Best race ever. 1-2 for Roush.
You're making history here.
Yeah, it's incredible. Mark Donohue did this almost 30 years ago now, so I think it's time for that record to be broke next week at the Glen. Unbelievable.
Go get him, Danny Binks.
Tom Kendall on his victory lap, waving to the fans around the 1.5-mile street course here at Trois-Rivières as we watch the Roush team celebrate a record-setting performance. We'll be back. Back at Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada, Tommy Kendall with another victory flourish, just like we told you about earlier. Takes the All-Sport Mustang on a victory lap. Don't need those good years anymore.
You can hear the old valve. You don't need that engine anymore. You can hear the old valves bouncing off the covers.
Well, Tommy Kendall, I think, has the luxury, now that he's won 8 straight Trans Am events this year, to perhaps do a thing like that to show how happy he is with that achievement. There's your first 5. Gooding makes it a 1-2 sweep for the Roush team. Gentilozzi, first Chevrolet, comes home 3rd today and breaks up that Ford shot at winning the Manufacturers Championship. Michael Lewis, Mike Borkowski, your first 5. John Gooding has finished 2nd today, Kendall's teammate. Let's get his thoughts on pit road.
John Gooding, one of the best drives I've ever seen out of you, this entire career of you, ending up right here in 2nd place. What was it like out there for you today?
Oh, I tell you what, this place is pretty tough to drive. It's awful slippery out there, a lot of chances to get in trouble. Wonderful race car, 1-2 for Roush. What a way to do it. 2nd time this year, real happy with it.
Where was your speed and power coming from?
Oh, I tell you what, I mean, Jack Roush knows how to build a motor, and these guys have been working on this car awful long, and we got one heck of a great race car here, and it was just wonderful.
Well, your partner's out there doing donuts. I think there's going to be one heck of a celebration here.
I bet. That's great.
Back to you, folks.
Oh, John Gooding started 2nd, started alongside Dorsey Schroeder today. Kendall with that 360. He's trying for a spot with the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show, I think.
I think he's now he's going to go backwards.
And we want to remind you, next week coverage of the Serengeti Eyewear Trans Am from Watkins Glen here on TNN Motorsports. Kendall will have a chance to win his 9th in a row and break Mark Donohue's record. Back with more from Trois-Rivières in a moment. Welcome back to Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada. The SCCA Trans Am Championship complete today. Tommy Kendall enjoying the fruits of victory, his 8th straight. Let's go to John Bizignano.
Tommy Kendall, how's that feel in your eyes, first of all?
Be better was in my mouth. This stuff's good.
You're making history today. What a great crew, what a great day, one of the best drives, so positive in every way. What's it feel like?
Well, first things first, I need to thank the good Lord for giving us all the abilities that we exhibited all year, and they gave me this crew, and it's been awesome. You know, the start of the race, I knew we were carrying less fuel than Dorsey, and so I really felt we had to pounce early, and that's why I was so aggressive early on. We didn't see how much he had at the end there because he tagged the wall, but, you know, what can I say? It just keeps getting better and better. I hope it never ends.
Now, what do you think about tying Mark Donohue's record?
Well, I mean, even though we've equaled it number-wise, I'm not sure you can ever equal his accomplishments. He was a phenomenal guy, one of my heroes, and maybe when I look back 30 years from now, it'll sink in. But for now, yeah, I just feel like we're really fortunate.
Because you've had a better day in any way whatsoever, a better weekend in any way whatsoever.
I don't think so. I was going to say drawing the number 1 would have been nice, but that scrap with Dorsey was memorable.
I think it was sweeter that way.
No question.
Okay, there's some celebration going on right now and all night long, I think, folks. They're going to party.
And they have every right to. The Roush Racing team. Tommy Kendall in the saddle wins his 8th consecutive SCCA Trans Am. 5 races left in the season. Kendall now with an 85-point lead over Dorsey Schroeder in second. Dorsey comes home in 6th spot today. John Gooding, Mike Borkowski, Greg Pickett. Gooding takes 3rd all by himself now. Mike Borkowski 4th in season points. Good finish for him today. Comes back home in 5th spot.
Yeah, takes away from Greg Pickett there in 162. Did not have a very good day, but Tommy Kendall's lead is absolutely enormous there. You see him against this beautiful blue sky here in Trois-Rivières. What a great day for racing. What a great weekend.
Like and follow for more.